welcome to the Beam, where curiosity stirs conversations, taking us a step further into the future we desire. I am Sunes Nathaniel, and today we have a very powerful conversation. But before we get right into that conversation, we're going to take you to a quick tech update. And when we return, we're going to have that really important conversation that every Nigerian should be having today. Don't go away. Stay with us.
Hello, I am Kumbi Aboluade, and here is your quick tech update for the week. The National Information Technology Development Agency has unveiled a digital competence framework and career progression model to help curb brain drain in Nigeria's civil service. NITDA says the plan will boost ICT skills, create clear paths, and retain top digital talent in the public sector. The announcement came at the International Civil Service Conference in Abuja. Meanwhile, the National Identity Management Commission is training NYC members to boost national identification number enrollment nationwide. Through a new ward enrollment initiative, core members will be deployed across Nigeria to reach underserved areas. NIMC aims to register 90% of Nigerians by December 2025 as part of the Renewed Hope Agenda and World Bank-backed ID4D project. In another development, Nigeria's Biosafety Agency is set to adopt AI, QR codes, and blockchain to enhance regulation of genetically modified organisms. Speaking in Lagos, Dr. Ugo Onyekwelu said the move will boost transparency, traceability, and safety in biotech oversight. The agency also plans new guidelines for emerging food technologies as part of broader efforts to secure Nigeria's food and health systems. On the foreign scene, the U.S. House of Representatives has banned WhatsApp from all official devices over security concerns. A memo from the Office of Cybersecurity flagged the app as high risk, citing poor data encryption and transparency. Lawmakers and staff are advised to switch to safer alternatives like Signal and iMessage. WhatsApp has strongly disagreed with the decision. And finally, following U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites, U.S. hospitals, power plants, and water systems are on high alert for possible Iranian cyber attacks. Cybersecurity experts warn Tehran may retaliate digitally, exploiting vulnerable infrastructure. No breaches confirmed yet, but Iranian-linked hackers are scanning for targets. A fragile ceasefire has been declared, but digital threats remain imminent. And that's your quick tech update for this week. Stay tuned for more cutting-edge news from the ever-evolving world of technology. I am Kumbi Aboluade. Have an incredible day.
Welcome back. The country is somewhat tense and many youths are disillusioned. The streets are loud, but the leaders often seem very quiet. Today we are asking that very burning question. If peace means silence and patriotism means submission, then what exactly are the youths fighting for? What are they going to be defending? Joining me are two distinguished men whose lives intersect at the heart of Nigeria's most urgent crossroads. We have Dr. Joseph Ochogwo, Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution. He is a peace strategist and national thinker who believes that dialogue must lead the revolution. And Barrister Chukwuma Ezeala, a lawyer, governance expert, and social commentator who has spent years calling out state dysfunction and democracy decay. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Barrister Ezeala, are you with us?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Let's begin from the very core of this discussion today. And security is one of the biggest challenges. You know, we're just talking off camera about, you know, some stats that shows how many people have been kidnapped and how many people have died. That was as at December 2024, right? And then the question becomes, how do we first, let's begin from here, how do we mobilize citizens, you know, to tackle the rising security challenges in a nation like this?
Okay,
Go ahead.
Great. I think it's important to mention that issues around peace and security of any nation state is not the sole responsibility of the government or of the state. And that is why the Constitution in Chapter 2 was very clear in terms of the rights, obligations, and duties, you know, of a citizen, you know, of a country. I think where the major problem is the issue of enlightened citizenship. You need an enlightened citizenship to perform that level of constitutional role, you know, that is expected of a citizen. And when I mean enlightened citizen, a citizen that understands his right, understands his obligation, within the nation state, and then can carry that out. And I think the Nigerian state also, to a very large extent, have tried as much as they can, to ensure that we have enlightened citizenship. And what do I mean by that? The processes of socialization starts from the family. The Nigerian educational system, which is 6334, the first 6, which is the primary basic level up to junior secondary school, is literally free. So it's expected that an average Nigerian citizen or all Nigerian citizens should key in, to that basic education level, which is the first level of socialization of any Nigerian citizen, for that citizen to be able to align to the Nigerian state. But where there is a disconnect, like what we find in terms of the huge number of out-of-school children, the high rate of illiteracy, and out-of-school dropout and all those things pose significant challenge, to the country and to the state. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that when you have that level of unenlightened citizenship, it obviously will pose security challenge and the kind of challenges that we are having now. So education and the process of socialization at the respective levels, in terms of the family, the community, the religious institutions and all that, are critical centers for social mobilization, of citizens, for them to relate properly with the state and to have a very peaceful kind of society.
All right, let's bring in Barrister Ezeala. What do you have to say to that question? Go ahead.
I think the critical aspect is hunger. Check all the countries.
All right, we're going to come back to Barrister Ezeala. Let's continue. He has brought up something very crucial. You've pointed out education, and it's a very, very important point. Mm-hmm. And he has brought in hunger. Mm-hmm. We can smile about it, but hunger is a very important thing.
It is.
And then the question then becomes, how do we preach peace and justice in a nation where the people feel like, hey, these people are impoverishing us, these people are leaving us in hunger? How do we preach peace in that situation?
I think that it's important to say that Nigeria is a blessed country. Mm-hmm. For people like us who've been privileged to travel all the 36 states, including Abuja, everywhere, and not only the state capital, to transverse the nooks and crannies of this country, doing the kind of work that we do, is to tell you that Nigeria is a blessed country. It therefore means that there is no human being who is living in this country that is supposed to be hungry. Mm-hmm. If we tap and utilize effectively most of our resources, both natural and human. But like any other society too, we cannot get perfect situation. So when we talk about hunger, is relative. Hunger can be where there is conflict and there is mass displacements of people, so they cannot end their livelihood. That poses a lot of challenge. Also, when some people have gone to school and getting enlightened, and then they don't have opportunities maybe for job and all that, that also can pose a problem. And that is why it's imperative that stakeholders, understand the vision, the agenda, of government, because it is government that must provide that platform. And the current government, have come up with an 8 priority point agenda, where issues around food security is number 1, issues around inclusion is there, issues around provision for security, they are all things that are there. So what we need, is how do we galvanize enough support between the state and the citizen to ensure that the governmental priorities that has been set is achieved. I think that we need that level of social mobilization rather than this level of politicking, that we are having. Because thus far we've been politicizing a lot of things, including the issue of hunger.
Let me just cut you quickly and go back to Barrister Ezeala, who started that question about hunger. Yeah. Go ahead, Barrister Ezeala. Let's hear your take. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, I mentioned the issue of hunger as a cardinal aspect of unrest and as a cardinal aspect of things that make a country not to move. The next one is the issue of justice. And also, when you look at justice, these are things that can lead to peace. And if you don't have justice, there is hunger, you hardly have people you can preach any other aspects of peaceful means of resolving issues. You can't get there without So the first thing I think the government should do is not a question of giving people 50,000, 20,000, 30,000. I think the first thing is when you address hunger, you address justice. You know, when you're doing appointments, you're doing anything, you work out. Because when you look at what the minorities in Nigeria are doing, when you look at the issue of how the nomads and the farmers are struggling over land, and the farmers do not feel there is justice for them. These are part of the things that lead to hunger. And when the economy is not working, when the logistics, the transportation is not working, so I think there is failure of governance. Once governance starts working, once government starts working, transportation is there, logistics is there, food can be moved, then we start progressing. Dollar will come down. So I think every other theory boils down to this. And once the government takes stand the way it should be, how can you be paying civil servants 50,000, 30,000? Even within the civil service, you see people that are subcontracted. They are paying people still today in Nigeria 20, 30,000. These are the group that you can use to foment trouble. So government should look critically, not a question of every time somebody is commissioning projects of billions and trillions, and payments, civil servants or teachers are on strike in Abuja. And the same way in many other local governments. How do you say you're going to enthrone peace? I think it's going to be very difficult. So let me hold it there.
All right, let's take it now to the man whose duty it is to preach peace. You've heard what he said.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do we preach peace in a nation like this? You know, how do we say we are preaching peace but not neutralizing resistance?
You see, the point is that if you're going to build a peace, the type we have in Nigeria, the first thing is to build what we call the structure, the substructure upon which all the other super infrastructures are going to stand, which is first and foremost the issue of the economy. The economy is the substructure upon which the politics and everything, you know, is going to ride on. And if you look at what this government have done, you know, for example, in terms of what they inherited and the pathway to go, which I think there is a general consensus amongst the elite and all the political parties that first and foremost the issue of subsidy needs to go, because subsidy was a major drain. Also, the issue of the fluctuation of the foreign exchange, you know, currency also was a big problem. So I think that what the government have done, and I need that to be carefully listen to what I'm saying, what the government have done actually is to ensure that these two problematics within our national economic system, you know, are done away with, and then you can begin to recalibrate, you know, the economy. In terms of first and foremost, you have funds. And if you look at the level of funds, you know, that have been generated, and as well as the level of allocations that have gone to states and to local government, you know, which we do expect, you know, that these resources are effectively utilized, you know, in these particular areas in the states and the local government. And I can assure you, because government and governance is on a continuum of demand and supply. The supply side is the government side. The demand side is the citizen side. So the citizens have the right to make a demand on the government. But amazingly, what we have in Nigeria is there is so much demand for the federal, at the federal level, you know, with weak or non-existent demand at the respective state level. And when you have that kind of disconnect, then you're going to continue to have the kind of problems that we have that is even beyond, you know, the government. Because understand that we operate a democracy and operate a constitutional system that outlined the responsibilities of the federal in terms of the exclusive list, the concurrent for the states at the subnational level as well as federal, and then the residual, which is for the local government, which I can assure you that in most places it is non-existent in terms of even the demand side. For the local citizen to place demands on the local government council for them to perform the role that they need to perform. And I think that that is one of the challenges we are seeing currently in Abuja FCT, where, for example, the administration of the basic education system, remember, I had mentioned in my opening that the basic education system is supposed to be free. It's the first point of socialization, you know, for every Nigerian citizen that they need to align with for us to have what an enlightened citizen. But here we are, where the area councils in the Federal Capital Territory have failed in their obligations, you know, to pay, you know, staff salaries and all that, and then leading to actions and all that. And I think that this is where across the country we need to beam more searchlight, you know, on the local government system to ensure that they are effective and they are performing their roles.
Okay.
So that, and Nigerians also, citizens also now, particularly those at the federal level, at the state and the local level, need to form some kind of alliances to place a good demand on the local councils,
okay,
on the state governments, for them to perform the same kind of expectations that is expected from the federal government to perform. We should do that across board, and then we'll begin to find very rapid incremental progress, within the system.
All right, that's the place we are going to hold it for a break. And when we return, we'll come back to Dr. Barrister Ezeala, so that he takes it up from that local government standpoint and see, hey, how do we build that connection between the people and the local government? Don't go away. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining me and us down here in the studio, I'm in conversation with Dr. Joseph Ochogwo and Barrister Chukwuma Ezeala. And we're just talking about how there's a disconnect between, the people and the local government, because it seems like everybody's looking straight down to the federal government and the executive in that nature. Barrister Ezeala, what do you want to say to that? And how does this play a greater role, in this push for peace, especially when it comes to the young people? You want to speak to that?
Yes, I think asking the citizens to go straight to the local governments and demand for dividends of democracy, yes, it's very important. It's good we do that. But look at the other aspects. Some time ago, a state governor was sacked because he was quarreling. At least we understand it, no matter the coloration, because he was quarreling with the man that installed him. One. And today, you see a lot of corruption. We have the EFCC, we have the police. These are agencies that should curb corruption. Nobody is doing it. So when Nigerians are demanding for good governance, when Nigerians are demanding for better services from the federal government, because they know the federal government has a way, or we have a way of getting whether the local government or the state government to perform. Now, if you say go to the local government, do you want us to go and burn the local governments? Today, how do you get the local government chairman? It is the state governors that install the local government chairman, because all of us know that there is no democracy in the local government. So if there is no democracy in the local government,
we cannot make all the general statements. We must be very careful. Go ahead, sir.
No, I'm a lawyer, and we know. Tell me a single state where you have other parties winning an election. So if you say we can't statements, you just tell me. We can be playing to ourselves, we can be playing the volleyball if we want to, we can be playing the chess game, but we know there is no local government system in Nigeria. If you can tell me any single state where there is local government system, fine. But if you're not asking us to demand for, the only way you can demand for accountability, the only way you can demand them to do it is if you have the power to hire them. That means if you can vote and your vote counts, whether it's APC, whether it's PDP, whether it's Labour Party, there is no place where local government works. So that is number one. Now, when you also get to the states, and you're saying demand for the same thing you're demanding from the federal government, from the states, you also see that it's also fractured. Why is it fractured? That is why we're...
All right, I think we lost. Okay, go ahead. I think it's back.
See that things are working. Okay. So now in Abuja, where
all right, let's come back to you. I think he's having some audio issues. We'll work on that. Basically, he's tying peace to accountability. He's tying peace to having somebody we can hold. And now the youths are almost disillusioned because they feel, hey, there is nobody we can hold responsible for what we are saying. How do you, who's pushing this peace agenda, how do you balance it in such a way that these youths, see that representation and understand really what their own place will be in the course of this, attainment of peace, and then, the balance with security?
I started by telling you that the economy is the structure upon which every other structure is built on. And I am one of the major person professing for a renewed hope. Because to me, the renewed hope agenda is more like a spiritual thing. And then when we talk about youth, you have to start from the individual level first and foremost. Individual level, one, to be a functional person, to be responsible, and be able to provide services, at your level, You know, everybody is a leader in the respective level. I mean, if you look back, I'm almost 50-something years, you know, and all that. Back then, when there was breakdance, I knew a lot of people who left school, you know, because of breakdance. I'm sure you can relate to what I'm saying. So, one, it takes individual discipline, you know, from the family level for you to be a functional youth. All of us strive to get employment. There were times that I didn't have employment. That's the truth. Even with my qualification, even with my master's degree, I recall a time my dad came and was praying for me and was even almost weeping. That's the truth. So if you check every average Nigerian from the 70s, I was reading somebody's biography in the 70s, you know, this whole issue too was there. So what I'm trying to say is that building a nation is not it's a marathon, it's not a quick race. It's not a 100-meter dash or a 1,000-meter race. It's a marathon. So we need to begin to build what my conviction, my personal conviction is that some of the structures are already in place. We're already making very good sacrifices in terms of issues around the removal of subsidy, which is what spike the inflations and all that, and lead to some of these distortions. You know, but once these policies begin to settle, we begin to see that a lot of things begin to come right. So I don't want youth to get disillusioned, you know, because of one challenges or the other. And it doesn't matter the society that you have. Every society, there must be challenge. If it's in the United States, in Sweden, anywhere you go, as long as there are human beings, there must be challenge. So what do we do? What we need to do, like what the kind of peace work we do, is to build the resilience capability and the capacity of individual youths and how they relate with others in the society and with the government to ensure that there is opportunity for them to use. Right. The present government, for example, there is the student loan, which never used to be here before. In those days, I used to see student loan board in Masha area in Surulere, but I never saw it happen. But now we see the functionality and people are accessing it. We have other social protection team, you know, to provide stopgap, you know, for people to move. And a whole lot of investments also in terms of a Nigerian foreign policy drive. A lot of the shuttle diplomacy you see, the president doing and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and other people within the foreign ministries that are doing to attract investment either in the area of power, in the area of gas, in the area of agriculture, in the area of food, and every other thing they are doing. I think that we need to give these people to benefit of the doubt. The demand side must be able to provide some level of support to the supply side, for the supply side to effectively function, you know, to ensure that there is a balance in the society. All right, let's ensure there's a balance on the program today. Barrister Isela, you're going to have the final word in a minute or two. Tell us, where do we go from here? All right, I think that's where we're going to wrap up. Dr. Joseph, thank you very much for coming with your depth on this one. Thank you. And we're hoping that we can start to build that path to peace. Absolutely, absolutely. We need to build resilience, we need to build dedication, commitment, discipline, and a sense of responsibility at individual level, institutional level, you know, for us to do what we need to do and get our country to where we need to get it to. All right, yeah, that's it on The Beam today. We'll be leaving you with our top 5 videos of the week. I am Sunes Nathaniel. And as always, we urge you to stay curious, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep beaming your light where it matters the most. May this nation continue to rise and flourish. Catch you later.
Fifth on our list this week is a clip in which Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, asserts that under the new tax laws, Nigerian households earning 250,000 naira or less per month are classified as poor and exempt from paying taxes.
We have eliminated the tax completely for people at the bottom. We have reduced for people in the middle, and we have increased slightly for people at the top. That's what we've done. So if I want to give you numbers, that middle, we estimated it in the region of about 1.82 million naira a month. If you're earning those kind of amounts and below, your tax will not be zero, but it will reduce from what you are paying today. And that's fair enough.
In fourth place, President Bola Tinubu meets with Fubara, Wike, and members of the Rivers State House of Assembly as peace talks take a very positive look. Staying with the issues around Rivers State, in third place, we see Wike and Fubara address the press after reconciling following a meeting with President Tinubu.
All agreed to work together with the governor, and the governor also agreed to work together with all of us who are members of the same political family. Yes, just like humans, you have a disagreement, and then you also have a time to also settle your disagreement, and that has been finally concluded today.
In second place, veteran actor and politician Kenneth Okonkwo says the coalition's presidential ticket is open for both the northern and southern region of the country. Our most viewed video this week is a clip in which we see former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi lamenting over the demolition of his brother's property in Lagos.
Your proper documentation, demolition orders, because even if you want to demolish a house, you go to the state, they give you order to demolish, give you appropriate documentation, bring safety people and them, so that we know we're doing what is none. It's only while I'm here now that some people came and said they are from Lagos State, they are safety order, and they say, what kind of a country is this? How did you descend to this level of rascality?
That's it in our countdown today. Join us next week for more.